I did one show with Elvis at the Overton Park Shell in August 1955, and then his manager hired me in the Tennessee to go on tour with Elvis in Mississippi and Texas and throughout the South. And we worked about 3 months with him, and I learned a lot from Elvis Presley. I learned a lot about performing and projection from Elvis. I didn't have the charisma he had, but I couldn't dance like he could, and I wasn't as pretty as he was, but I learned a lot from him about stage presence and about show business.
Today's video is going to be about the man in black, Johnny Cash, and the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley. Perhaps you don't know, but Johnny Cash started out in 1955 playing a lot of shows with Elvis throughout 55. So if you lived during that time, you could have had an opportunity to see Elvis and Johnny Cash play the same show for $1. $1. Look at this article that I found. It says, Sun builds stable of country artists. October 22nd, 55, the Sun Record Company, since its acquisition of hillbilly star Elvis Presley, has been building up its stable of country artists. Recent pactees have been Johnny Cash, whose Cry, Cry, Cry was spotlighted by the Billboard last week, and Carl Perkins. Then here is an ad that I found from October 10th, 1955, in-person Elvis Presley. And if you see right below it, there's Johnny Cash's name on the bill. Admission $1, children under 12 or 50 cents. And it was fun, music, and jokes. Here is an ad for get your tickets in our record center in-person Elvis Presley with his Western Bop Jamboree featuring Johnny Newman, Porter Wagner, Johnny Cash in Abilene. Fair Park Auditorium, Tuesday, October the 11th only. 2 shows with 7 p.m. and 8:15 p.m. $1, tax included. And later on this episode, keep watching. I have a very funny story about Elvis backstage with some girls at this show on October 11th, 55 at Fair Park Auditorium in Abilene, Texas. But that's another bill that has Elvis and Johnny Cash together. And here is another ad for that show with Elvis's photo there. That's pretty cool right there. And of course, Johnny Cash's name is on that bill. And then here is one that I found from Midland High School Auditorium. In-person Elvis Presley back with these top recording artists. And if you look down there, there's Johnny Cash, Cry, Cry, Cry. So Cry, Cry, Cry was Johnny Cash's big song there in 55. I Walk the Line would be the following year. And of course, the rest would be history after that song hits. But yeah, how cool is this? Elvis and Johnny Cash in another advertisement at a high school auditorium there at Midland High School in Texas. And then check this footage out, rare footage from 55, Johnny Cash backstage in Texas at one of those concert shows. And then here's Elvis at Texas on stage performing. A fan shot this footage, and how lucky are we to have this, to just get a glimpse of what it would have been like to be right there at the stage with Scotty, Bill Black, and Elvis once upon a time. Now look at this ad from Clarksdale Auditorium in Clarksdale, Mississippi. It says in person once again, Elvis Presley. Also in person, Johnny Cash, Cry, Cry, Cry. This was an 8 p.m. Thursday, September the 8th, 55 show. And I have filmed that location. Here's the stage. Let's check it out. Elvis and Johnny Cash played on this stage all those years ago. And it's still here. So check out this picture of Elvis, Scotty, and Bill during one of their songs here at the auditorium in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Look at the little vent on the bottom of the picture. Look where Elvis is standing at, because here I am today in 2020. If it focuses in on the stage, there you go. There's the vent. Elvis was right there in that picture. Picture proof. Elvis was here, captured by a fan, right here where I'm standing at, once upon a time in his life. This show that Elvis played for the last time in 1955 also featured Johnny Cash of singing his hit Cry, Cry, Cry. There's Johnny Cash on the stage in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Right there. Johnny Cash, Elvis, here on this stage, and photos prove it. Johnny Cash was right there in this picture. Doesn't get better. This little bitty auditorium, which is stuck in time, which I love, hosted Elvis and Johnny Cash on the same night. If you're close to this area and you're a fan of Elvis or Johnny Cash, you have to stop in here. They're nice folks. They'll let you take a picture. So make sure to check out my full episode inside Clarksdale Auditorium in Clarksdale, Mississippi to learn a lot more history to explore inside. I'll put it at the end of this video. Now look at this advertisement. This says Charles Bolton presents the folk music Fireball. RCA Victor's Elvis Presley, the king of the Western bop, Scotty and Bill, plus Johnny Cash, star of Hey Porter, Cry, Cry, Cry. This was at the Vun Theater, Booneville, Mississippi, Tuesday, January 3rd, 1956. They made a mistake on this ad. This was actually January the 3rd, 56, not 55 as it said in the paper. But you could have watched two shows at 6 o'clock and 8 p.m. The doors opened that evening at 5 p.m. And this is another concert location that I have recorded. Here is Booneville, Mississippi. Elvis and Johnny Cash played inside that building right there. Once upon a time. Let's go inside and explore. Some Johnny Cash. These two guys and him were definitely here. So check out the original floor in here. I'm pretty sure that this is what it would have looked like that night. Hopefully it was. That's pretty cool that it's still in here like this. They said this used to be a pool hall as well, and that's why some of the flooring is rubbed off. But right back here was the stage area here at the theater. So can you visualize Elvis in front of you? How about Johnny Cash? Carl Perkins? Scotty and Bill? They all were right there. January of 1956, 1 week before Elvis goes to Nashville, Tennessee. I have a video of that location. Make sure to go watch it after this. I'll put it on at the end of the video. But 1 week later, he goes there to Nashville and records Heartbreak Hotel, which of course became his big hit there in 56. I'm sure the stage was all right here in this area. Now these are the bathrooms. But check this out. There's James Dean, if you can see him. But who is that? Elvis about to kiss Marilyn Monroe. So this is the back of where the restrooms are. So I'm sure the stage took all this area up. So somewhere in this space is where the concert was. And this is looking back out. Episode as well, and go inside the Vun Theater and learn more history. I'll put that at the end of this video. I own this book, Johnny Cash, Man in Black, and this is what Johnny Cash said about Elvis in his autobiography that he put out in 1975. In the summer of 1955, I performed my first major concert appearance as guest on Elvis Presley's show at Overton Park Shell in Memphis. At the bottom of the ad in the Memphis Press Scimitar promoting Elvis's show, in very small print, it read, "Extra, Johnny Cash sings Cry, Cry, Cry." Actually, I did 2 songs on the show, Cry, Cry, Cry and Hey Porter, and I was satisfied with the appearance. All my family, friends, and everyone who knew me were there to see me officially launch my career. The audience called me back, and I did the newly recorded but yet unreleased Folsom Prison Blues. Then I stood backstage and watched Elvis. I had seen him at his first couple of appearances. One was at the grand opening of the Katz Drugstore in South Memphis. The other was at a ballroom in East Memphis. The audience reaction to him was always the same. The girls and women screamed, cried, and fainted, and though the men might be jealous, nobody could keep from watching him. He had and has a personal magnetism on and off stage, but especially on stage. That is unique. So here is the funny story I promised you from Fair Park Auditorium, October 11th, 1955, Abilene, Texas show. It said that October 11th, 1955, Valerie drove Elsie and Jane to the Fair Park Auditorium in Abilene, where Elvis was scheduled to play, with a motley lineup included Jimmy, a fallen star Newman, Porter, Eat, Drink, and Be Merry Wagner, Wanda Jackson, and Bobby Lord. Also appearing that evening was a virtually unknown Johnny Cash, a rough cob of a man with a talent for a catchy melody and memorable lyrics. The girls arrived as a bevy of ponytails jockeyed to the stage door. Elvis pointed to his favorite femmes and announced, "With these 3 backstage." They scooted to the back where Elvis lined them up and kissed them in succession. Elsie's very first kiss. He borrowed Elsie's lipstick and autographed a picture for her in passion pink. When Johnny Cash walked by, Elvis pulled them close and whispered to them to stay away from that man, because he was on drugs. Wide-eyed, they obeyed. So I'm sure Johnny Cash never knew that Elvis told these 2 girls to stay away from him that evening in Abilene, Texas. But it sounds like he did. Of course, we know Johnny Cash did struggle with drugs throughout his life, but he was able to recover from it. And, he outlived everyone pretty much, didn't he? Except the killer, Jerry Lee. But I am a huge Johnny Cash fan. Actually, I probably became a fan of Johnny Cash before I was an Elvis Presley fan. I remember watching I Walk the Line back in like 2004 or 5 and just really wanting to learn about Johnny Cash's life. I started listening to his music, learned his story, and have been a big fan since. There's really no one like the Man in Black, and I hope now you've learned a little Elvis and Johnny Cash history. Don't double dribble, subscribe to my channel for more Elvis history, real Elvis history, and I'll see you down the road. Thanks for watching. Elvis and Johnny Cash formed together in 1955, and you could have gone to a show for $1.